So, I have a quote that I want to start with from Florence Scovel Shinn. And she wrote, "Most people consider life a battle, but it is not a battle. It is a game." That's how her book, The Game of Life and How to Play It, begins. Now, the game of life is what we are in. And this game of life, just like any other game, has rules, challenges, interaction. There are skills to be had, exercises, movements to be made, educational, psychological roles to take on. And we play this game of life alone most of the time, sometimes as a group. All of us playing this game of life, we're all professionals. We're all artists in this game. There's remunerations to collect in this game of life. There's creative expression to fulfill in this game of life. And there's imaginative beauty to behold in this game of life. Now you may ask, what are the rules of the game of life? And do I have allies in this game? Am I truly alone in this game? Who or what am I interacting with? My opponent or opponents? What cards should I play? Moves should I make in the game of life? Well, let's answer a few of those questions. Let's start with who's the player and who's the opponent? Do you know the answer? It's you. You're both. Now, don't freak out. You don't have to prepare anything. You're perfect right now as you are. There's nothing that needs to be changed, or there's no test that you have to pass to be a participant in this game of life. There's no any anguish you must endure to make you more deserving of winning the abundance in this game of life. There are skills to perfect and use, but you have them all. Just like Gary was talking about in the sacred reading section, you have the skill. And what is that skill? Choice. Now, choice is a great responsibility, but it's also a great power. You get to decide, maybe even change your mind and decide again. You're free to see it your way for your life. And the universe just aligns itself with you. Now, the main thing to remember in this, to answer this question, is what Dr. David Walker titled his book, "You Are Enough." So I want to take a moment to do a constructive piece of self-talk, is how Dr. Walker put it. It's an affirmation, it's an incantation that we can do, and let's do it right now to set in motion. If it's not in motion, let's set it in concretize it, as they say, with this constructive self-talk. And could you flip to that slide, and we'll show that. There it is. Say this together with me. I am enough. I am more important than anything I will ever accomplish, for I am the sacred presence of life. It is with my enoughness that I now cause my life to look the way I want it to look. Take a look at that. Coming back to me, let's go to the second situation. What are the rules? So, the rules are like this. There are 5 rules to this game of life. Are you ready? Declare what you want. Focus on what you want. Imagine what you want in all ways is present. Be grateful for what you want as you've already received it. And then the last rule is take confident action expressing what you want. Declare, focus, imagine, be grateful, take confident action. We must decide if we want to live by the principle or the precedent. Now, the game of principle tells us what we think, speak, practice, and serve shows up in the experience that we roll, to keep with the whole game idea. The only precedent that we want to have in our lives is the precedent to be mindful of the principle that I just spoke. That we are divine spiritual beings having a human experience. We are undivided from God, the source, presence, spirit. We are a vessel for change, a vessel for love, a vessel for infinite possibilities, and a vessel for good. Not only in our lives, but in service to others and to our world. That's the principle we follow. That's part of the rules. Next question, what moves should I make? Cards should I play in this game of life? Spirituality and mindfulness. Now, many people think that spirituality is not taking action. It's too heart-centered, some people think. Some people think it's too head-centered. It's impractical. Some people think it's even superstitious. But done holistically. Holistically means with your entire body, not just the actual body itself, the cells and everything, but from your mind, your heart, your gut, everything in your body. That's holistic. A full-bodied, bold, succulent with strong intentions and feelings. When you do the game that way, when those are the cards you play and the moves you make, it's not superstitious. It's not impractical. It's none of those things. You can't be too heart-centered if you are also too head-centered. You can't be too practical if you listen to your intuition as well. You can't be too logical if you include imagination and heart as you visualize your purpose. See, you all of us have all the game pieces we require. They're called meditation, prayer, visioning, yoga, communing with nature, radical forgiveness, chanting, the ho'oponopono that we talked about last week. But just as a chess player doesn't usually win the championship on the first day of their practice, no one usually can just flip some switch in their head and their heart to enlightenment. It does actually happen that way. We don't always realize that the enlightenment is taking place. But with practice, we find the tournament, the game, easier and easier until it becomes just our second nature. And then, of course, some serious fun, because that's what life is about, serious fun. Now, what we can do too much of is wish or hope, try or attempt. Because we have to remember that if our sad old story never changes, neither will our sad old life. We must move from the land of hope and wishes to the land of make-believe, knowing, and manifestation. That's how we demonstrate. The Buddha said, irrigators channel waters, fletchers straighten arrows, carpenters shape wood, the wise master themselves. Next, is this a game of solitaire, this game of life? Well, the simple answer is no. You see, in the infinite nature of God, all conceivable good is eternally available and internally available, ready to flow into our human experience. There's a woman from the UK, I believe, who I follow on Twitter. Her name is Gordana Biernat. And she wrote this week, nature relentlessly whispers, I am here for you. So every hunch, every intuitive word or idea is your ally in this game of life. Speaking, teaching, guiding you, giving you leads, for the receipt of a bonus card or a prosperous bit of movement in your game. You know, I've told this story before about me deciding to go to ministerial school and watching Angels and Demons, and that day, the day that I needed to make my final decision. Well, earlier this week, I just had the inkling to watch that movie again. Now, I haven't watched it in 10 or 12 years, whenever that was, but I watched it again, and kind of secretly, because I didn't say it out loud, I was kind of wondering where this feeling came from, because I never really understood where the feeling came from, where I heard the words in my head, "Do it." For those who haven't heard the story, I went to the movies and I had 24 hours to decide if I was going to enter ministerial school or not, because it was my last chance to step in, because they had already started for a few weeks. And after watching this movie, I closed my eyes and I was alone in this movie theater, and I heard, "Do it." And that made my decision to go ahead and take the time and the money, et cetera, and the deep work to become a minister. While I was watching this movie, and at the end, the second to the last scene, Professor Langdon character was talking to the Cardinal Strauss character, and the new Pope, was about to make his first entrance. And Cardinal Strauss says to Professor Langdon, he says, "Mr. Langdon, thanks be to God for sending someone to protect this church." And Professor Langdon said, "I don't believe he sent me, Father." And Cardinal Strauss put his hand on Professor Langdon's shoulder and patted him, and he said, "Oh, my son, of course he did." I don't think I saw the last scene in the movie, because those just few pieces of dialogue hit me again, just like it did 10, 12 years ago. It was a memory, a hunch, an intuition, a divine urge, a divine nudge, actually. It was the universe supporting my game, even when I didn't know. Back to some more Florence Scovel Shinn. She says, "It is God's will to give every man every righteous desire of his heart, and man's will should be used to hold the perfect vision without wavering. When man takes his spiritual stand, he collects all that is his from this great reservoir of good." The universe is ever conspiring for our highest good, my friends. And with that knowledge, we can play the game fearlessly, seeking and seeing divine love flowing in every role, in every play, in every movement towards our very best. Rick Tamlin, in his book, Playing Your Bigger Game, wrote, "When you are truly compelled to make a difference and move beyond business as usual, you become capable of creating and achieving miraculous results. Too often, we allow ourselves to be limited in our thinking. That's the way it's always been, we might say. So that's the way it always will be." My friends, you have an ally in the universe. It's called the love. It's called love and the law, cause and effect. Love and law, they go together. For every action, there is an equal reaction from the law to bring the mental equivalent of what you have imagined in your mind, in your heart, in your imagination, into experience. Let's go to that next affirmation. I want to do an affirmation that Florence Scovel Shinn wrote in The Game of Life and How to Play It. So let's take a deep breath and say it together, or you can just listen to me say it. Infinite Spirit, open the way for the divine design of my life to manifest. Let the genius within me now be released. Let me see clearly the perfect plan. So let me end with this, my friends. Start today to play your game of life. The rules are simple, the opponent is easy to beat, and the ally is always present. It's not a game of blame, but of responsibility. It's not a game of shame, but of dignity. It's not a game of guilt. It's a game of infinite possibilities. And finally, it's not a game of woe, but of wow, of love, of light, of life, and wisdom. It is a candy land of sweet spiritual support where any clue you need is available. It is a game where you always have a monopoly on your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. It is a game where the knowledge is at your feet to unscrabble the richest words. There's no battleship to fight or reason to put your body in a twister of positions. There's no risk in playing or reason to feel boggled as the universe is your ally. And the more you use the wisdom of your ally, the least amount of time you will have to say or feel sorry. Your cranium, heart, and gut, what I call the divine matrix, will keep you out of trouble. For you are in control of this operation. There will never be angry birds or Dungeons and Dragons in your way. And with the universe on your side and the law providing you apples to apples, you will never have a trivial pursuit or pull any cards against humanity. Your call of duty is to have some serious fun. And with all this going on, you'll be able to shout, Yahtzee! Every day. Are you ready? Take the first roll, make the first move, and let's get this fabulous, succulent, opulent, love-filled game going. Thank you so much. Namaste.